All right. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's
Season 3, episode 5, by the way. Last week we were mistaken. It was not episode 3, it was 4, so we just doubled up on 3.
Well,
outstanding.
that's because as we age, our counting suffers.
Exactly. Hey, let's all introduce ourselves, but someone has to say something about aging because I heard an interesting stat today.
Well,
So I'm Jennifer
okay.
Weitzman with Benchmark.
I'm Lance
Mark
Stameyer. I'm
and,
with Expert Home Lending, the loan driver.
and Mark Craner with Aspire Coaching.
Yep. And then we've got a special guest today, Tarra Bopp with Mr. Electric in Columbia, and we'll tell you all about her in a little bit. But we'll start, as we always do, with a little bit about what's gone on last week. In the last week, we've had negotiations on our side. I think I've told you guys that I did like 16 hours of CEs on radon.
Yeah.
And radon is not the problem, but it can carry carcinogens. It's the number one cause of lung cancer for non-smokers. And I'm almost to a house that I have to go check on the painting. So, anyway, it's easily mitigated. You just have to. The houses are so well sealed now that these gases can come up and into the crawl space. And for a while, like, it's, do you even do it on a slab? Because how's it getting in? But slabs can have some pores, they can have some cracks. And the inspection we did this week, it was the first time I've ever had slab pop for radon, and it was one of the highest radon levels. I mean, it's supposed to be at 4, and it was like at 7, 8, but that meant that's the average. And it's usually in rocky areas, so up in Knoxville, it's had it more. But since the 2010 flood, it's more prevalent in Middle Tennessee because the underground cavernings changed with that water. And this home is down in Christiana, which is a kind of rocky area. You know, the more eastern you get, the more you get into the plateau and all. So that was a really interesting situation. And it's a little more expensive to mitigate it on crawl because you have to dig, you have to break the concrete, and then you have to dig out like a 2 by 3 foot, I think they said, little hole, and you put the venting system there and then up and out. The main thing is you got to vent it out. So that was interesting. What's been going on with y'all this week?
Well, I learned some new things. Jennifer will perk up when I say this. So on FHA streamlines, we're starting to see interest rates come down. So streamlines for FHA and VA are very prevalent. What that means is people can refinance their FHA or VA loan without an appraisal, without proof of income. If it betters the person's situation, we can do that. And I had a couple FHA streamlines where during the government shutdown we're in right now, we learned that a couple of the guidelines have changed, but we haven't been able to get access to the guidelines. If you were to go to like HUD.gov and some other sites, they're
Yeah.
shut down. And that's typically where we would get up to date information. You can find cached information, which means like server, like browsers have saved that in a cache. But some stuff changed recently, and that is that the waiting period on doing a streamline. So Jennifer, it doesn't affect the people that you're thinking of, but it did affect another client of mine who just 6
Yeah.
months ago had done a streamline, and we went to do another one. And it used to be 210 days since closing. Now it's 200 days since the first payment. So that really means 7 months payment. So anyway, I working through that,
Yeah.
learning how to do streamlines. I mean, honestly, guys, we haven't seen a downturn where people would do streamlines in 11 years. But you're like, wait a second, what, Lance, come on
Yeah.
now. In 2022, rates were really low. Rates were really low in 21. Yeah, they were. And they were so low and values were so high that people refinanced out of their FHA loans into what, Jennifer? Conventional loans. And
Yeah, because that's what I did in 17.
We've
And I
got
had a cash out refi to do some of my improvements.
Yep. And Jeff and I have a whole slew of people. I think we've closed 30 some first time home buyers in the last couple of years. Is that right? What's the count? Do you remember?
I've done 37 or 8 lifetime, but 18 or so of those have been in the last 2.5, 3 years.
and we're hoping for all those people to refinance them into conforming loans. But we've got a few that are recent that were just streamlined. Anyway, I'm like, oh hey, at 25 years in the business, you better check your data, because I had a little egg on my face. And I will tell you, anyone that's worked with me knows this: when I make a mistake, I call you instantly. I don't hide behind it. I call right away and say, hey, I should have looked at the guidelines. I've done that. I've made mistakes with Jennifer. I think that's why she uses me, is when I do make a mistake, I own it, and I instantly. So that's what's happened with me, was learning how to do
Well, and
streamlines
more
again.
than that, and more that you're making a mistake, you're constantly learning, which is how you knew that there was another way to do it. You could have
Mm-hmm.
never known you made a mistake, so to speak.
Yep.
By the way, this area I'm in is a little sketch on service, so if I drop out, I'll jump on the Wi-Fi and pop back on, but I may lose you for a second.
Okay.
So what's going on in my world is I'm ramping up my referral system. I am actively reaching out to folks, looking for ways to increase my business through referrals. My business is 100% a referral based business, and so unfortunately, one of the avenues that I had as a lead source was taken away from me as through someone else's decisions and strategy. So I've got to find a way to make up that loss, or increase my referrals through another avenue. For me, what's happening in my business, ultimately, you guys, several things around houses. People, this story could be said every single day, every single podcast, every single thing. How I'm in a situation, it's not good. I need to understand how to get out of it. And most of the time, I it's like I'm a broken record. It's really having to do with debt. And I can't do the things that I want to do because I have all of this debt. But they don't want to change their I want it now mentality. And unfortunately, you can't have both. You have to make a decision one way or another in order to get you out of one situation, in order for you to bring on something else. So it's like a broken record. Quite honestly, debt is just consuming so many people right now, and the interest rates are not. They're having an impact with the amount of debt that people have. It's just a never-ending battle. But the only way to get out of it is accept responsibility and take a step. And I am celebrating a victory with one client who has paid off $100,000 line of credit, and they did that in about 4.5 months. I think I may have mentioned that last week. So we're still celebrating that, of course, because it took him. He couldn't do it without the accountability that I brought in through my coaching. So that's what's going on in my business. Yep.
Well, Tara, welcome to our call. You're going to a little surprise here. You'll see at the top right of the screen, we just put the Mr. Electric logo. So whenever you're speaking, we'll try to pop that up there. Can you tell us a little bit about, first of all, tell us about Mr. Electric. I'll lead in. You and your husband own a franchise of Mr. Electric, and tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so we've been open for, we just had our 2-year anniversary on October 9th. So we're locally owned. Yay. Oh, yeah. Locally owned electrical service and installation. We're about 90% residential, 5 to 10% light commercial, industrial type of work. We can service College Grove, Thompson Station, Spring Hill, and Columbia, and we can go further south and west into some unowned territory. But if you don't know anything about Mr. Electric, it's part of a larger hub of home services group called Neighborly. Neighborly has, I believe the count is up to 19 brands of home services. So whatever you need, anything from, landscape outside in your yard to, weed killing in your yard to your roof to Molly Maid is like a maid service. And then obviously, your electrical service. So like anything you can think of home service related, Neighborly has a brand for. And Mr. Electric has 300 franchises across the US and Canada.
Okay.
Oh, that's interesting. Do you guys have
So-
anything in the Dallas-Fort Worth area?
Yes, we do. There's a Mr. Electric there.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So you just here you go. There's a referral right there. This is
Okay.
exactly how things work. Because so I don't mean to take up any time, but let me. I went. I love outdoor lighting. When you install a low voltage outdoor lighting solution, it changes how I mean, it's amazing. I wish I could demonstrate a picture. I installed some outdoor lighting for one of my houses in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I've had nothing but neighbors come by and just love the ambiance of it and the aesthetics of it and what it does. It changes your whole landscape. Love that. So
Yeah.
thanks, Tara. I will be contacting them.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can give you their information. But you're right, like landscape lighting makes such a big difference. It's just like the small details that, people driving by, they're like, wow, that really looks nice. I specifically I like the up lighting that goes on, along the house or on trees. It's really pretty.
As Mr. Electric, what's the number one call, number one thing that you're doing in the Middle Tennessee area that you're getting calls for? Like, another one of those?
Something we do quite often are EV charger installations.
For electric cars.
Yeah, it's becoming, that's almost like a weekly thing for us these days. So,
Is that a desperate call? I bought a car, now I don't know how to charge it.
Yeah, no, it's typically not. It's not, I wish people would make sure that their homes can take the load or, be able to install a EV charger on their panel before they went out and bought, a Tesla or whatever they're going to buy, because sometimes, by code, we cannot provide that service because either they don't have room on their main panel or they live in like a townhome where they don't have enough amperage coming into their home to be able to do that service or keep their vehicle charged up.
Oh my gosh, I never thought about that. So you actually go on calls where you're like, okay, I'm here to install. Oh wow, you've only got X amount of what type of amps do they draw? For example, on a townhome, what might be the normal service coming to the unit?
Normally, if you have a 200 amp or above, it's not going to be a problem, and there's room in their panel. I don't remember exactly what the townhomes have, but a lot of them, they split the amperage, based on whatever the main service is coming in. It's just smaller.
Yeah.
And sometimes, we can't provide that service.
And nobody can. So what do? They got to go park down to 7-Eleven and charge, or go to Walmart every day?
Well, some people might provide that service, but it doesn't mean it's gotten inspected or
right, because that could overload the panel. Right?
It could cause issues, safety issues for sure.
How much? That's brought up how much does it cost to charge an EV car? I mean, and how long? I don't have an electric car. I'm just kind of curious. I don't mean to ask necessarily. I don't know, but it'd be interesting to know what is the average. I don't know.
I'm typing it up now. I'm grokking it.
If anybody has Chat GPT,
I
don't know that answer.
Yeah.
It says about $75 a month for average daily driving.
And how long does a charge last? I'm sure that's kind of interesting, factual.
Like, what, 300?
Depending how they drive is the honest answer.
Manufacturer, but what about 300 miles?
Yeah. 300, 400 miles, I think, is kind of what I've seen. So
Kelly
Mhm.
Blue Book says the most recent U.S. household average for charging an electric car per month is $61.18.
okay, so most of the time, my clients, and this is where it comes back to our conversation here. So most of the time, my clients are probably somewhere between about $40 to $50, depending on how much they drive to fill up their. So it can be anywhere from I would say probably 200 to 250 per month. So
Mhm.
so let's just make it round numbers. So if it's $61 based on what the facts were there, and it's $250 per month to fill up at least one vehicle, subtract that, we round it up. We'll just call it a simple $200. So anyone listening, you need to ask yourself, what is the cost of installing a EV charging system into your house? And how fast will $200 per month recoup that cost, along with the maintenance of replacing a battery in the EV in the electric vehicle over the course of its lifetime? I think that's a logical question.
Right.
Logical questions to ask.
What would that, I mean, ballpark install take for just a generic, do you put a pedestal outside? Do you put one in the ground? I guess there's a lot of options with that.
It's really, up to the customer where they want it placed. But I mean, you're going to save money for sure by as close to the main panel as possible. And that doesn't mean like a sub panel, like in your laundry room that backs up to the garage. Like the inspectors are going to look to make sure it's connected to the main panel. And people have done it outside. They've done it in their garage. It's just really where it's most convenient. There have been a lot of homes that we've gone to where the panel is like on the opposite side of the home from the garage. So that's a lot of conduit and wire
Right.
to run, either around the house or somehow, through the attic or a crawl space. So, it can range anywhere from $800 on up, depending on that variable right there.
Jeez. I don't know.
So speaking of that, so you can't just run a cable across the floor, Tara? Just run it. It needs to be in conduit. It needs to be
Mhm.
proper and
Yep.
safe and grounded. That's what a lot of
Yes.
people don't think about. There's like, oh, I'm just going to have this electric company and run a wire. It just comes out of the panel across the floor. No, it's got to be done safe. It's got to be done to local codes.
And we that's, EV chargers are required to be inspected by the state inspector. So, that's like a non-negotiable with us, just because of insurance and liability. So, that's a little bit of an extra cost and time for the customer, but it does give peace of mind, because you've had a licensed electrician out there doing the work, then you've had a state inspector come behind us, make sure everything is correct, and put their green stamp on that it passed inspection.
Tara, one of the questions I had is, I know we've talked a lot about the electric vehicles and a charging station. Let's go back to just the basic stuff that a lot of people could look at inside their home as far as maintenance concerned. And one of the things that I think is often overlooked from a builder's perspective, maybe not nowadays, is the number of GCI outlets, the cost of what it would take to put in a GCI outlet, just regular. What kind of services would a person want to look at as regular maintenance on their electricity for their home that they could hire you to do?
Mm-hmm. So, just to tell you a little bit about our process, which will lead to answering your question. We offer every single time we come to your home, we offer a complimentary home safety check, which will go and look at everything from, do you have GFI outlets, where they're supposed to be in the home? How old are your smoke detectors? Is your system properly grounded? Do you have surge protection on your home? Do you have any issues going on like lights flickering or breakers tripping? Things like that. So we have a whole like list of things that we go through. We'll open up your panel, we'll take the cover off, we'll clean out, like yesterday we found this panel. The panel was in pretty decent shape, but I mean, it was full of like wasp nests and cobwebs. And I don't know what was in there, but so they'll go ahead, they'll clean all that up for you. This is all complimentary. They'll tighten anything that's loose down. And they'll take just like a general look at your entire, electrical system. So in GFIs is something we get called out for a lot because something on that circuit will trip the breaker. And quite often, it's a GFI that's hidden in the garage behind, people just put a lot of stuff in their garages and sometimes forget there might be an outlet hidden, in the corner somewhere, or, a rain will cause outside GFIs to trip, which will affect that entire circuit. It could, affect something in the garage or something in the house because it's getting wet. So did I answer your question? I don't know.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
And how often would you recommend that a person call Mr. Electric, call your business and say, come out and do is it an annual review? How often should a person do an inspection like that?
So to give you an interesting stat, in the US, a person will have an electrician out to their home once every 7 years. And usually it's because there's a problem happening all of a sudden. So I would suggest annually. We have it's called our Advantage plan. And like if we do some sort of service for you, we offer this Advantage plan. It's for 1 year, it's $90, and it provides obviously us coming back out and doing another home safety check for you before that year expires, 10 to 15% discount off any of our services, priority scheduling if you have an issue, and it also extends our work warranty. It doubles it, so it extends it from 1 year to 2 years. So I would say even if you think you have a brand new house, builders are doing a lot of shortcuts these days. So you might have a brand new house that's all of a sudden starting to have some issues. So we're happy to come in there anytime. It's complimentary, like I said, and take a look at things just to make sure everything's good to go. Usually when you buy a house, you have that inspection. So
You
people
just
should be there. Yeah.
Oh,
Triggered.
go ahead. Sorry. You just triggered a thought of mine. And because depending on where you live in the United States, we go through in Texas. I'm sorry, we don't have 4 seasons. We have 2. It's either hot or cold. And the seasons last about a week. So in between.
Is it like cold, like 60 degrees?
Yeah, that's cold for. Believe it or not, that is cold for us. I mean, this morning was in the low 60s, and we're in October, and so I almost grabbed a jacket on the way out. Thought about it, but I didn't. Anyway, what triggered as a thought for me is: do you guys? I think this is one thing that is overlooked so much, whether it's an old house or a new house or whatever kind of house you have. Okay. For some reason, my phone is not going on silent. But weatherizing the outlets to prevent drafts from coming in, that can have a huge impact on how many times your heater kicks in and how much you pay for heating because you're taking in drafts. Is your business or Mr. Electric offer something of that kind of service?
I mean, generally, if we will just caulk around, seal up anything that outside outlets or anything like that.
Even the foam. Do you do any kind of foaming?
If I'm understanding your question correctly.
Yeah. Do you do any
Mhm.
foaming to around it?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Usually
reason
we're
I'm
just
asking
caulking
that-
it. A lot of customers are particular about aesthetics a little bit. So, but that's a good, that's a good thought.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Open up. Anyone listening, open up one of your light switch or this guy right behind me. How much cold draft is coming in from the attic into and sealing that up, making the home more airtight. It causes us to spend less on heating.
Right.
Can that save? Is it worth the cost of doing that and the cost of savings that you would experience? I'm going to tell you guys right now. Everyone knows, for the most part, my story, but I will share it again. When you're paying $323,000 worth of debt off in a 5.5-year period of time, yeah, I went through every single room and unconnected, disconnected, unplugged anything that was soaking up. It's called vampire power, taking power. And yes, I went to Home Depot and I bought the little the inserts and I did open up every single one of my light switches, and me and some cousin went through and we sealed up all of our light switches to prevent these drafts. That's how you end up saving $40 to $45 on your electric bill.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good thought. Another thing you can save money on is going from like fluorescents to LEDs.
Okay.
There's some. I did look up some stats for that. If you guys are interested in hearing.
Yeah.
We have commercial customers that often have those tube lights, the fluorescent tube lights, and they'll just call us back out every time one of those goes out, and we keep. We're really trying to push the LED retrofit, which is really an easy upgrade to the fixture you already have installed. But here are the stats on LEDs. It'll save you 50 to 80% on energy than the fluorescents, incandescents, halogen lighting. Reduce your utility bills, Mark. Has dimming capabilities. They'll last, and of course this is a big range, but they'll last 25,000 to 100,000 more hours than the regular bulbs, depending on obviously which ones you're getting. There's no mercury, so it's more environmentally friendly. There's smart controls for them. Enhanced safety because there's less heat, emanating. Some states have utility rebates and tax incentives for using LED versus the other ones. And it said your ROI is about 1 to 3 years to get your money back.
Wow.
Good.
That is fantastic stats, Tara. Thanks for sharing that.
Yep. So if anybody's looking to save money, suggest that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always looking for ways to save money. I want my money to work as hard as for me as best as possible. And a little bit of elbow grease, maybe a 2-step ladder to change out some bulbs. If that ROI is a year to 3 years, I would have started saving money in my 5.5-year long journey.
Yeah.
So anything, not only that, but it gives you a sense of and feeling of you're contributing to your own journey as much as possible. So you get a feeling of knowing that you're doing something.
Mm-hmm.
So
what are ways that our viewers can be thinking of using you or referring to you? I like that, that free inspection probably uncovers, being that people on average only once every 7 years have anything looked at. I would bet a
Yeah.
free inspection would uncover a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you hear people talking about flickering lights or breakers that are tripping, or home surge protection is another big one. Like I know we've talked about that in our BNI group, but that's going to protect all of your major electronics from getting fried from the power grid fluctuations to not direct lightning hits. That's a different story, but a nearby lightning hit, and even your major appliances coming on and off causes little fluctuations in your power. So the whole home surge is a good protection over time for those major electronics. I looked up an analogy to try to bring it home, and it was like one of them was like a guard dog for your appliances or a seatbelt for your electronics. And then obviously having redundancy like surge protection strips and things like that. But I mean,
That's awesome. That's awesome, Tara.
Are you
Mhm.
doing any install for like the preppers or people that are like kind of going off grid? Do you do any work like that?
We were at one point in time. The guy that we had doing that is no longer with us, but we can refer you to our sister franchise in Murfreesboro or Huntsville, and they do generators. They'll do battery backup systems, transfer switches for your generators. So if there's any people that are interested in that, we can definitely make a referral or point you in the right direction.
On that note, what are some challenges? You just celebrated your second year. What are some challenges that I'm setting you up for this? What are some challenges that you've had with being a small business owner?
Like you and I have discussed this offline, but trying to, and I think we're there right now, is finding and building our team culture and building the right people into our team. Obviously, we can't just go hire anybody. They have to have some very specific skills. So, our team is licensed. They're background checked. We've started interviewing like almost through like the DISC profile, if you guys have ever used that, but trying to find people that are more of a fit in the residential space versus the commercial space. People that want to put the customer as number one, like very service oriented. We want them to leave the home cleaner or better than how they found it. We want to make sure that the customer feels like they just got, premium treatment when we walk into that home and made a friend. So those are the kind of people we're trying to find, just people that can communicate, treat the customer as number one, and, be honest and work great as a team. So that's been the one challenge we've had, is just building that team, over time. And along with, the team building also comes the leads. So like they both kind of work in parallel in tandem to each other. If you don't have the people, you can't service the leads. If you don't have the leads, you can't keep your guys busy, guys and girls. I do have one electrician. She's a Navy veteran, lover. She's working awesome with our team. So
That's great. Yeah. Culture is important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when your business is focused on helping. It's a service oriented business, and it's how the reflection on you, and the perceived reflection from the customer can impact your business. As I said, my business is a 100% referral based business. It is focused on helping other people. If the culture, if the people involved that I'm involved with is not putting the customer, quote, the cliche of the customer first, and really considering and being honest, open, and having integrity, then ultimately my referral business suffers. So Love the
Yeah,
reference to the
exactly.
cultural perspective, Tara.
Yeah. Yeah, we have some younger guys now, and they're really like, they're eager to learn. They're eager, on the soft part of the business, not on the technical, obviously on the technical part too, but I really feel like they're doing that, and they're open to learning and open to feedback. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
So if there was one question that you wouldn't want us to ask, what would it be? Regards to your business. I don't know if it is a good question or not.
Well, one question that we try not to do pricing over the phone or, just in
Right.
general, just because one of the things that we do offer is we offer upfront pricing. We're not, I know a lot of contractors go into a home and they give quote an estimate, and then that can change as they're progressing through a project, right? It can go up. Usually it doesn't go down. So the one thing that we do is we provide a quote. It's upfront pricing. So that's why we like to get our eyes on exactly what we're doing, because I don't want to create expectations for something over the phone, and then when we get out there, it might be a completely different story. So we do try to provide on-site quotes versus over the phone. So that would be a question that would fall into that category.
absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it makes sense because you don't know. I mean, how can you give out a number when you don't know what you're getting into? And I used to be in another business called the bus industry, and we would work with these converted buses with, people would come and ask me, "Oh, can you work on my bus?" I'm like, "Well," and I'm going to play with words here. I'm like, it's more than likely there's some POS involved in that. And it's not what you think it is. For POS, for me, it's previous owner shenanigans. You don't know what people have done behind the walls.
Right.
You don't know. You, like Tara was saying, they don't even know they had this old GFI circuit in the northwest corner of the garage that there's something set up against, that some water ran down and dripped on it and clicked it, and now half their house is out, and they think, you just don't know. It's a discovery process. Or when Tara pulls back one of these panels, like Mark said earlier, there might be this huge rat nest in it where they've been nibbling on I mean, believe it or not, some animals eat aluminum. There's all types of weird things that happen. You are basically opening up. You just don't know what you're going to find, do you, Tara? I can't even imagine.
Well, like we went out to a home yesterday, and it's the same panel I was talking about, but this panel had no identification marks on it at all. Like, we didn't know what brand it was, whether it was UL listed. We didn't know any of that. And, we're going through this process of trying to quote her something, and she wanted us just to put some new breakers in it. But, we told her, we can't even identify this panel. The inspector is definitely not going to be okay with that. So, we quoted her a whole new installation. We're not going to try to put breakers into something we can't even identify.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No markings whatsoever. Came off Temu or something.
Yeah, it could have been I put it into the picture of it into the Google AI, because I don't know if I'm sure you guys are more technologically advanced than I am, but just the amazingness of AI right now is just blowing my mind. But it told me what it thought it was, and what it thought it was a recall panel. So that's where I told them, I was like, we're not going to put a Band-Aid on this. We're going to do the whole thing if we're going to do it. So
they thought it was a recall panel, so that means one that was produced, and they're like, "Hey, we got to pull this back. This shouldn't be used in homes."
Yeah.
And then the manufacturer tried to scrub the internet of that because they don't want that out there from a liability standpoint.
Well, like I said, the panel itself did not have any identification. So whether it was the recalled one or not, I don't know what kind of breakers for sure to put in there, because I don't know the brand name. So we're not going to go there.
Sure.
Well, Here's the problem with that too, and I know this just because I have rental properties, and how important it is to have a UL listed breaker, a panel that Bottom line is if there's some level of catastrophe as a result of that panel, your insurance company can deny your claim.
Yep. Yep.
So
we've even had, this is another story of UL listing, but we've done a couple of like small sub panels for like RV charging. And like you would think you go to Home Depot and you buy something from Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever, that it would be UL listed. And the breakers in this panel and the outlets were UL listed, but the box itself was not UL listed. And the inspector was like, nope, you got to buy, he gave me some manufacturer names, but, that was a lesson learned for us. Like, the box itself has to be UL listed.
Awesome. Well, I know we're coming up on about 41 minutes into the podcast. As we wrap up here, what is the one thing that, given the opportunity to share with with the audience that's going to be watching, what would be your suggestion to those homeowners or those people dealing with anything that might be electrical?
So first, before I don't get a chance to do it, thank you guys for asking me to be a part of this. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I would just suggest that, like, if you've lived there for a while, and whether you think you're having issues or not, make sure whoever, if you want an inspection, a complimentary inspection, we'd obviously love to be that person. But just make sure whoever is doing that inspection, if it's not us, is licensed, they're insured, they have a warranty on their work. We have something we call the done right promise, and that kind of coincides with the warranty. But we go above and beyond to make sure our customers are happy. And I hope maybe our Google reviews would testify to that. So I would just say, if you're having issues, definitely get an electrician out there sooner than later before they become an emergency. And if you just want to know, what the general well-being of your electrical system is, have somebody come out and go through the home safety check, and you'll have peace of mind, and you can move on with prioritizing other things in your life and reduce stress, right?
Yeah.
Well, how can people get a hold of you? What's y'all's phone number, and do you have a specific website for your franchise?
So it's mrelectric.com /Columbia-TN.
Okay.
Because there are other Mr. Electrics of Columbia, but in other states. So, and then our phone number is 615-550-4355.
We'll make sure we get that published on here when we put this live on Monday morning. Wow, we really appreciate you being here, Tara. I guess Jennifer was out, and she plays in the country, and what they don't have in the country sometimes is cell tower service. So I think we lost her out there, but I know she invited you today, and I think it's great. And I got to get you out here to install that surge protector we've been talking about, and then find out why half of my house doesn't work. But first, I'm going to go look and see which GFI circuit in the garage is covered up with something, because I'm going to help you guys find it. But I am that person who
it could be outside, it could be in the garage, it could be in your bathroom.
I'm that guy.
Yeah, and I think that I've learned a lot from this. Definitely, at least for me, I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so I'll be reaching out to Mr. Electric in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'm going to mention that it was you that made that referral. So hopefully they will. Maybe there'll be some partnership there. I appreciate what I've learned from doing an annual inspection. I'm gonna start that. I think it's the one thing about me is I'm proactive. When you have rental properties, I do not like being reactive. I like being proactive. So if there's problems out there, I want to solve them before they start. So
Yeah, for sure.
well, they've already
Smoke
started.
detectors are another life-saving thing that people should inspect themselves like monthly.
Yep.
Make sure they're working. So that's another thing we can help with.
Love
Very
it.
good. Thank you so much for being here, Tarra. I really appreciate all of the information, and for all of those listening today. Just reach out to, you've got experts in the industry, in each one of the industries here. Tarra with Mr. Electric, Lance with Expert Home Lending, and myself with Aspire Coaching. Would like to help you out and look forward to serving you well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and log us out, and you can stay with us for